Hello, everyone. I am sure that you have heard of this new B school that goes by the name of Altera Institute. Now, this B school has been around for what, 3 years now? And it has been creating waves because of the people who are behind the B school. So I know these people personally because one of the founders, Karan, is a senior of mine from FMS, and of course the rest of the people who are handling it are also from the top B schools of the country. They have had experience in various organizations, including HUL and Nestle and GSKs and Amazons of the world. And they decided to start something here, right? And before they started Altera, of course, it's a well-known brand in the industry because they have already done a lot of these MDPs that are there, management development programs across corporates. So they tie up with these corporates, they do some workshops wherein they will upskill people who are already working at organizations like, say, a Nestle or an Amazon and these kind of places, right? Now, in terms of the institute, the deadline is coming up. The applications close on the 31st of January. And there have been a lot of questions that have been asked over the last few days in terms of what the institute is like, how exactly is it different from a traditional B school, because in all the communications that have been put forth by Altera Institute, they vehemently mention that they are not a traditional B school, but they are an industry-backed B school. Now, what does that mean? They have a 15-month program. So how does that work? How big is the cohort? How is the interaction with students? Because again, in traditional B schools, the cohorts are significantly larger, right? There are 500, 600 people on campus, three batches who will be learning together, or one batch will be in touch with their batch, the senior batch and the junior batch. So how do the dynamics work here? So we thought that we will handle all these questions, the kind of things that people have done at Altera Institute and what are they doing right now. So we have with us three alums from Altera. And we are very happy to have Payal, Pulkit, and Tulza with us, who are the alumni of the PGP 25 batch from Altera, and all of them are currently working. So I will ask each one of you to introduce yourself. You can talk about the company that you're working in, the role that you are currently handling. If you had any work ex prior to going to or being doing your graduation or doing your program from Altera, and what was your academic background, graduation background, whatever you want to elaborate. So we'll start with Payal.
Sure. Thank you, Shashank. So to start off with, I work at Sebamed. So at there, I am the e-commerce key account manager, where I handle the e-commerce accounts like Flipkart and Myntra. And prior to that, I worked for 2.5 years in operational roles. One was a B2B travel startup where I was handling the hotel category operations. And prior to after that, I was handling uh, at the Not Worldwide, another company that I joined post Kaplan, wherein I was handling the operations department, but for the wedding stationery. It was a global wedding solutions provider. So post that, Altera happened, and prior to that, if you talk about my academic experience, I graduated from Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, which is a part of Delhi University, and with a bachelor's degree in economics honors. So yeah, that is about me.
Interesting. What about you, Pulkit?
Hmm. So, hi, sir. I'm coming from a Delhi background. I did my college from same college as Payal, that's Guru Gobind Singh College, Delhi University. Initially, in my career, I was inclined towards CA because of my family's high inclination towards it. I tried to give out the foundation. I cleared it. I also cleared the intermediate. Later on, I realized that before jumping onto this field, I should, explore the what are the options available after CA. So that time, through a college placement, I got into KPMG as an audit analyst. I worked there for about a brief stint of 3-4 months. After that experience, I like this is not something I want to do for the rest of my life. So after then, I came across like I first gave CAT. I got a decent percentile, about 90 percentile, and the options that I had in hand were various like GIM and the tier 2B schools that are usually there. When I came across Altera, I was like, what is this thing यार, मतलब बहुत ही अच्छा बता रहे हैं, सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा है, सब कुछ ही सही कैसे हो सकता है. So I personally connected with all of the current students at that was the first batch. So I connected with them, all of them, through LinkedIn or through any other means that I got into hand. And I thought that this is something that it was inclined towards my future aspirations. So at that point of time, I took a punt at Altera. So all things went very great. I'm currently working at Flipkart as a category manager. I manage the home category there. So our role is to manage the vendors, getting brands onboarded, and how to grow the category as a whole. So that was about me.
All right. Okay. We also have Tulza with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tulza.
I'll go next. So I come from this small town called Devas in Madhya Pradesh. I grew up there. I was always excited about media in general. I used to love watching a lot of ads, learn from them, and that is when I decided I wanted to go into some creative field and explore. I did my bachelor's in strategic communication and journalism from Sophia College in Mumbai University. Post which I worked again with brands that were creating. So I worked with Pocket FM. I worked with Denzo International, and again creating a lot of fun campaigns, working with media. I wanted to get into the same field, and while I was scrolling, searching, finding the right fit for me, right college where I could expand this knowledge and learn marketing, I realized that Altera was like it was the thing. I Because what is better to learn from industry professionals who've handled brands like Surf Excel. So it seemed like a perfect fit. It was a perfect fit. I got in, and my time at Altera has been life changing, just to say the least. And now I have joined Honasa as a brand manager. So the brand that I'm handling right now is the Dermaco.
Okay. Okay. Great. So you guys mentioned about the organizations that people have heard of. Of course, I don't think anyone would have worked for either Sebamed or Flipkart or Honasa after their graduation. So these seem like interesting organizations for people to join, right? We will talk about your journey at the B School, but before that, if you could explain your what you are doing on a day-to-day basis in simpler words, so that people know what is it that you are going to do after their B School in general, then I think that would be nice, because they don't really get to hear all these things. They only get to hear the designations, they get to hear the names of the companies and the CTCs, but they don't really know what people do on a day-to-day basis. And because all three of you are involved in different categories, different sectors for that matter, I think it would be a nice thing for you to explain what is it that you do on a daily, monthly basis in terms of your job profile. So Payal, we can start with you.
Yeah, so as a key account manager, we handle the business from a brand perspective at a retailer level. So my daily tasks are to negotiate with the retailers, be it at the pricing planning as to what is the pricing that will help us drive growth on a particular platform. That pricing and planning is one part we handle. And then since as a brand, we are distribution led, so distribution management is one thing that we also take into consideration. And yes, how to grow our particular category wherein we play at the retailer end, and what are the growth levers, like what is the exponential thing that you can do exclusively on each retailer, because the consumer journey at each retailer is very different. So like deep diving on the consumer insight at each retailer level as to what will work for them, so planning accordingly at each retailer level. So negotiation, pricing, planning, distribution management are the three things that I handle on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of pressure, Payal. How do you handle it?
No, no, it sounds like, but when you get into the role, thanks to Altera, it has made us job ready. So yeah, what I've learned, I'm actually implementing. So yeah, that it like relieves a lot of stress.
Okay, okay, we'll come back to that. What about you, Pulkit? Can you explain whatever you do in very simple words?
Sure. So I'm on the opposite side of Payal. So like the Sebamed is handled by Payal. Similarly, I am the on the opposite end of Flipkart. So our main objective is to how we can increase the category size or the category sales, to be particular, on our platform. So to explain with an example, let's say Philips. Philips is a brand that want to grow on Flipkart. So as an account manager, we provide them end to end the levers to scale their business online. For example, the selection. The number of products you have is directly linked with the number of sales you do. What is the price sensitivity? What is the price point at which that product will fly? What are the day-to-day operations will feel like? For example, if Flipkart Wishmaster has to deliver that product. How will the product move from Philips warehouse to the end consumer? There are various models to it, but manage the day-to-day operations. We also look upon the advertisement of the merchandising part. For example, if Philips want to make a dent, for example, torch category, what are the areas of visibility that they can optimize upon? What are the keywords that you should bid upon? So all of this thing towards growth of the category. That's our main job.
Nice, nice to hear that. What about you, Tulsa?
I wish my day looked as sorted as Payal and Pulkit's. As a brand manager, and especially when you're working with a BPC brand, there is a lot happening all the time. So, my day to day task is mostly to connect with my teams to understand what media we're running on, what OTT platform, or if we're running it on YT, if we're activating influencer strategies. So a lot of my work is just to build a lot of strategies as to when to connect with the NPD team, and if there is a new launch, how are we going to plan it, what will be the main key messaging that we're going to do, how are we going to do this across the different medias that we have. So for example, if we want to do it and launch it on OTT, if we want to launch it via influencers, if we want to create a brand film. So my job list is a very long one, but if I were to sum it up, I would say it's mostly like 80% of it is coming up with strategies, connecting with the teams, and finding the right way to reach the right kind of audience, and curating the campaigns according to that. Yeah.
Okay. And Tulsa also mentioned that you are always curious in terms of advertising and brands in general, right? So I'm sure that would be helping you in your job as well. But in general, in terms of the education that people get at B schools, right? So it's mostly theoretical in general. If you look at it, there are a lot of subjects that are there. People talk about case studies, but then these case studies might be outdated as well. So that is what a lot of people assume, or a lot of people face when they go through B schools. So how would you say that the B school kind of shaped your journey and helped you do well at your job?
Sure. To start with, I would say that we had a lot of industry professionals visiting the campus every now and then. And these people did not particularly come from B schools, like top B schools. These were people who just one day decided to start a business, and that they grew it on their own. So you hear from them about their learnings in life and how with time they learn things from different aspects of running a business. I think when you talk about a traditional B school, you might have, like, I'm not going to stereotype it, but you might have a lecturer who's always been teaching through books, and he'll come and he'll teach you what everybody has already studied and has they know, and it's in the atmosphere, right? You can just google this sort of information. But when you have somebody who is the founder of Catwalk, which was a beverage brand. The founder visited us. When you have somebody from Bella Vita, these people come and give you the real insights, like what it is like to run a campaign on Meta, for example. This a traditional B school might not teach you, but it's like the most important thing in marketing right now. If you don't know how to run a campaign on Meta, I don't think your brand will scale anywhere. So I think learning from people who've already been there and are successful is more important, and that is what Altera really taught us. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Tulsa, you mentioned about the people, the industry interactions basically that you had on campus, and the kind of people that you interacted with, right? So, Pulkit, can you talk about any specific course that is helping you in your profile right now?
Sure. So, as I'm in the e-commerce industry, we had a very specific course that was digital commerce and was taught by an industry professional that is working in NatHabit. So that gave me an holistic overview as to how is the e-commerce industry working right now. That was, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I assume that there is not taught in a traditional B school because the world of e-commerce is changing very rapidly. I have joined Flipkart in June, and since then there have been changes like anything. There's various changing in terms of how we procure goods, how do we sell it to the warehouses, what are the pricing options that we do. Everything
Hmm.
is changing so rapidly that a mentor or a professional that is working in the industry, that gives an insight that no professor can give us. So in terms of the curriculum and the pedagogy and the professionalism that Altera follows, it's truly unmatched, because what you are truly taught, exactly that is happening in the industry. So that is something that was a differentiator for me specifically.
Hmm.
And there were various other courses, like for example negotiations or sales.
Hmm.
So in our day-to-day basis, we had to negotiate through brands with brands. Like for example, Payal. If we want to negotiate with Payal on various terms like pricing, assortment, selection, delivery terms, and a lot of things. So that gives us an advantage over the other people, because in that particular course, we were not just taught theory. We had to actually negotiate with the other person,
Hmm.
get to know what they are thinking, what are their aims, and what are our aim, so we can land on a particular common solution. So I think these two courses are helping me day in day out, and a lot of other courses are also helping me directly and indirectly. Like for example, marketing, we have like, as Tulsa mentioned, performance marketing. We had to optimize various campaigns that are running on the platform.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's much pretty about it.
All right, great. And in terms of Pile, I have a fresh question for you. So they spoke about, of course, the subjects that are there, the industry interactions that were there, but of course, a large part of what happens at a B school is when you participate in certain things, right? So I remember my time at at the B school when I used to be a part of the placement committee, which was like very notorious for what they did. And we also participated in a lot of these competitions that were there, that were floated by a lot of institutes that were there, and there were a lot of live projects that were there, right? So anything that you did, you participated in, and you enjoyed during your 1 year 15 months at Altera?
A lot of them are in similarity to what you like. So two of them that are a major highlight for me is the live project. So we actually get to work with a actual brand to solve their real world problems. I got to work with two like live projects where one was in with the Belgian waffle, and wherein we had to plan their GTM strategy for their new consumer product, wherein they were already doing waffles, but they had a new packaged good product, wherein we have to from scratch design their GTM strategy, be it the margin, be it which all channels, where it, how will it go in from production to the actual supply plan. So that was one. The other one when I worked was with Sebamed itself, with the project, wherein we had to design their WhatsApp CRM strategy. So that is a key highlight. So because that is how you get to know how you are solving a real world problem, and you get to know as to what other brands are also like, where you also consider take into consideration. You go for, if I talk about the Belgian waffle, we actually went to the markets to
Hmm.
like actually get the margins as to what our other brands are giving as a margin. So that is a holistic experience that I had. And the other one is case competitions, of course. So wherein you actually see within the cohort people competing within each other to back that prize, because there have been multiple case competitions. You have multiple sleepless nights wherein you deep dive to consumer insights and then come out to the solution basis, the whatever is the objective. So these were the two highlights for me.
Yeah, in fact, you mentioned competitions. I think we had Alec on the channel a few days back, and he took a workshop for our students, right? And he mentioned that students from Altera do very well at these competitions. In fact, he mentioned that there were some 2 or 3 teams that were in the finals of certain competitions that were there, is what he mentioned. So, what about you, Pulkit, Tulza, in terms of the interactions that you had with maybe outside of your B school? How were they?
Pulkit and I were lucky enough to work together on in one of these competitions. We pitched a startup in an event done by LBSIM, and we were in the top 5. It was a it was a very tough fight, but the entire experience of working on something of your own gave us so much confidence that we really sat together after the competition ended, and we were so confident in our idea that we decided that someday we might, bring this startup to life. And that is what it also does to you. The entire atmosphere at Altera, they push you so much and they give you so much confidence in your thoughts and ideas that you can fight the world then. Apart from that, I will keep flexing this for the rest of my life, that one of the competitions that we had internally was for Lakme Fashion Week, where we had to do a competition, benchmarking for Lakme. And Bhautik and I, a fellow batchmate, we so at the end, we won the contest, and then we got a chance to attend the Lakme Fashion Week, and I saw Tarun Tehlani. So that was big. And yeah, there is so much exposure to you in the institute, that there is never a dull day. I mean, something or the other is happening in the background. Yeah.
Or what do you, Pulkit?
I would like to talk about our term project. So at Altera, in term two, I think, at the end of term two, all of the students were supposed to make a brand of their own in any industry they would like. So, for example, each and every student will pitch an idea from scratch, literally scratch, with whatever product and whatever service that they like. We have to make the brand from scratch, from the product, from the designing, from the go to market strategy. What kind of audiences are we going to tap in? What is the brand going to look like? What will be the theme? What will be the brand ambassador? What will be the positioning in the brand? Everything from scratch. So that experience was very different for me specifically. I chose a brand that was an alcohol mixer. I was very
Okay.
fascinated by that category because the upcoming players like Jimmy Cocktails and Clear and Catch, they were upcoming. So I thought that this is an area that I can build a brand upon. Not just building a brand, but the kind of feedback and the constructive feedback you get from the mentors is something very, very, very helpful. For example, if I want to position a brand, let's say, for example, 50 rupees to a certain target audience at this positioning, getting a feedback from the industry mentor like this positioning पे इस target audience पे नहीं चलेगा, and you get a reasoning behind it. So that is something that's very hands on and practical, because पीपीटी वगैरह बना लेते हैं, बट लाइव जो तुम्हें फीडबैक मिलता है तो दैट चेंजेस योर पर्सपेक्टिव एंड दैट लर्निंग स्टेज फॉर लाइफ लॉन्ग. So that was a very wholesome experience for me personally, and I suppose Tulsa and Payal will have a similar experience.
Yeah. So great. So see, one of the highlights that I'm experiencing in this conversation is that you guys are name dropping quite a few brands that people generally use or maybe see around them, but they don't really think about it a lot, right? I'm sure every brand that we have mentioned right at this point in time, every category, every product that we have mentioned at this point in time, people would have heard of it, but they might not have thought about it in terms of business, right? Alcohol mixers, let's say, for example, we think about it, we see it, a lot of brands that we have, Jimmy's Cocktails, Psipoy and Co, let's say, for example, we see these kind of things, but we never think about what their business model will be, if they have a, what kind of strategy will they have, right? So that is very important, I think, in terms of what people do. Now, in terms of, let's say, someone is aspiring to get into a B school or Altera Institute for that matter. Uh, is it necessary for people to have this kind of a thought process or this kind of an attitude towards businesses in general, wherein you are curious about how businesses work, maybe how channels work, how pricing strategy works? Is it important, or is it something that they can learn during the course of the B school as well? Any one of you can take it.
I can take that up, and maybe
Yeah.
Payal and Pulkit can join me. I think being curious and having that um uh, curious bone in you really helps, because then every time somebody is teaching you something, you're looking from that lens, right? So that, I think, while people might not think being curious as the most important thing, I think it is very, very important, because there is knowledge everywhere, and if you're curious, only then you will be able to absorb it. So that is there. But if you join Altera or if you join a B school, I think B schools also teach you a lot of rigor. And they discipline you in a way that you become curious by nature, and it comes very naturally to you. So that is there, but I think it's always a plus to be curious and be always think about business in a way that how can I implement it, or like how can I improve? Yeah.
Hmm.
Completely agreed with Tulza on this point. Being curious definitely helps. For me personally, from the like very starting, I was a very curious kid and the kid that asked various questions. So being curious and asking questions really helps in every aspect of life. Before joining a B school, if you just have a curious mind as to ये क्यों हो रहा है, बिजनेस ने ऐसा क्यों करा, ये इस प्राइस पे क्यों है, उस प्राइस पे क्यों नहीं कर रहे, so that really helps. In the B school, you will have a lot of opportunities in where the lecturers and the professionals will come and teach you. Because, but if you already have thought about it in a certain way and you can interact with the professional in that regard, the conversation is much more deeper. So I think it definitely helps. But joining a B school will also put you in a space that you'll naturally become very curious to, what is going around in the business and the brand.
I think it comes naturally, like as and when we got into term two, वो खुद की ही nack आ जाती है, ये ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, मतलब we started questioning, अगर हम एक surface level के questions पूछते थे and then they went to level two, that ऐसा ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, so that is something that builds up throughout the course.
Great. Yeah, that is I think very very important, especially when you are getting into a situation or a position wherein you are handling a large business, right? You have to be curious. Otherwise, there is it's not going to be a job wherein people will tell you that okay, this is one, two, three, four, these things you have to do. It's not going to be a pure execution based job. So you have to think, right? Anything that you would recommend to people who are preparing for their interviews? What should they focus on? How should they go about the entire thing? How to structure their answers and all those things? Yeah, Payal, we can start with you.
I think to prepare for just be for first of all you be confident and have a knack of curiosity, that's a add on, and but that's all that I feel that is required, right? If you have a plus there are you have to have a deep down of whatever you've done. So if you're coming from a work experience, just be sure of whatever you've done, you have confidence in speaking about that, you have in-depth knowledge of that. It's not just you're talking about it from a surface level. You should have a L2 L3 deep down on anything that you put on your CV or your work ex. Just have a clear thought process on that.
All right. Pulkit, what was your interview like? What was your experience
For
before?
Altera,
Yeah.
so at Altera, I had two interviews. First of all, the first round was the case-based round, in which I got a case. I think it was a detergent pounder case study, in which there were three brands. So there was a whole story कि ये brand ये कर रहा है, ये brand ये कर रहा है, ये brand ये कर रहा है. उनके the nomenclature was different, but they were signaling to Surf Excel, Ariel, and Tide,
Yeah.
and they had a whole story कि Surf Excel इतना price कम करा. What should Ariel do? Ariel is tapping the offline market. This is very prevalent in the South area. So there was a
Hmm.
whole case. And what our role was to, we had to support Surf Excel as to what their next move should be.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think rather than your opinion, what they judged you upon was your thought process and how you came to that conclusion. I can say that you should reduce the prices, or I can say that you should increase the prices. But they are not judging you upon that. What they are judging you upon is how you made that choice. What are the
Hmm.
parameters that you took into consideration before arriving to that? So I think that was the first round. They checked your clarity, they checked your confidence as to how confident about are you about your answers. The second round was more about you as a person, as to what is your background like, why do you want to, take a career up in marketing, why don't you join another traditional B school, what makes you fascinated towards Altera, and they checked me upon various aspects like do I have the basic cut off, basic communication skills, and yeah, it was more of a generic round for me.
Okay. Uh, So again, application based things that you say, right? In case studies also, as Pulkit mentioned, you also have to ask the right kind of questions, make the right kind of assumptions, state them upfront. Otherwise, you will not be able to answer, right? Tools, I have one question for you. A lot of people, when they're preparing for the interviews, they just try to fill their CVs with a lot of these points, right? They will do some NCFM modules here and there. They will say that, okay, we'll do some Google certifications, we will do something from a Coursera or a Udemy and all those things. And how much of an impact does having a stacked CV have? Is it really impactful, or you need to have maybe 2 or 3 points which are like really impactful?
I think it's just 2-3 points which are very crisp, which are very clear. Gives so every time you put a CV point on your CV, it has to talk about your contribution to the company or whatever project that you were working on. I think if you make it if you make it into long sentences, if you are not clear about your thought process, that just reflects. And the CV is the first thing that the person sees even before they see your face. So
Hmm.
it should be very clear. I think again, one of you spoke about how one should have proper knowledge of the industry that they've worked in, and full in depth L2 L3 level, as deep as you can go into understanding one topic and your role and whatever task that you were supposed to perform, can put you in the right spot in front of an interviewer. If you are just very thorough about your thoughts, and if you're very clear, that is what everybody is looking for, clarity. And in corporates also, like, since the time I've started working, clarity of thought has really helped us sharpen our ideologies in a lot many ways. So I think 2-3 points which are crisp, clear, and convey the message correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, quality over quantity, right? You need
Yes.
not write a
And
lot of stuff because you might not know about everything, and then
yeah.
you will end up in some amount of trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, Pyle, you wanted to add something?
No, I wanted to say like it's just three things that come to my mind if you talk about interview. It's like thoroughness, clarity, and curiosity. That's the three things that will help you crack the interview.
Great. All right. So we are coming towards the end of the interaction. So one thing that I had in mind, a couple of things that people generally talk about, right, which I mentioned right at the start as well. One, the batch size, and second, the nature of the campus. So a lot of people, maybe they are not very happy with larger batch size, because placements के time पे then it becomes a big problem, right? 600 people in a batch, क्या placements, क्या companies आएंगी, कैसे placements होगा, पता नहीं. The other thing is in terms of having a residential campus wherein you are entirely in that cocooned environment, कुछ करना नहीं है, everything is being delivered to you, right? How does Altera Institute fare on these two fronts? One in terms of batch size, other in terms of the campus and the comfort that comes with it. So any one of you would like to take it?
I think the batch size, whatever is decided, is very limited because that is how they can give you one-on-one mentorship, like focus on each student and each skill, because not everyone is having multiple skills. They can further leverage that skill of yours, and it's not just like one-on-one mentorship. If you're having a like small limited batch, what we as a batch got was many to one mentorship, like mentors across the industries and from different categories, and we had one-on-one mentorship, one-on-one interviews while we were walking into the placement zone. So I think that is one key role that Altera helped us in keeping the batch size limited.
All right. What about you, Pulkit?
Sir, I think batch size should be not very huge, but not very small also. So I think nowadays various B schools have a lot of batch size, like 700, 800.
Yeah.
So that is something that is extreme. As you mentioned, that creates a chaos in the placements and the opportunities you that get. In contrast, a very small batch size, like less than 100, also creates a problem, because the more students that you have, more networks that you can build around with them, more industry connections you have, and you get the right set of people in a larger set of people. So our batch size was relevantly very, very small. So
Hmm.
we don't have a lot of people in various parts of the, every company, every industry. So that I think is a shortfall. But I think a sweet spot around 200 to 300 is a very sweet spot where you can, foster relationships, make industry connections. At the same time, it's not a very chaotic place in the placements. So I think that's a very sweet place to be in.
Okay. And Tulja, regarding the 1 year slash 15-month program that is kind of unique to Altera when it comes to these discussions.
Hmm.
A lot of B schools will have 2 year batches that people will look at, right? But how does a 15-month program come into the picture? What are your thoughts? Good, bad? What should people do to make the most of such a compact schedule?
I think it's very opt because there is nothing more that you have to learn after the 15th month, honestly. I have friends across these top B schools. Once they get placed, 6 months they're doing nothing. So, I mean, instead of wasting that time, you could just step into corporate. It happened for us. I got placed in the 9th or 10th month of the college, and I joined immediately. So, I did not lose any time, and I still had like some 20 days for myself to take rest, which was enough. And I could leverage the fresh education that I've gotten, and start working immediately. So I think Altera has like a very organized, very so the entire curriculum is very thoughtful, and you can tell that a lot of thought has gone into it, because with each stage the level keeps rising, and by the end of it, by the time the placements are there, you are prepared. You're like, you have everything sorted, you have all the knowledge that you need to sit for an interview. And I think that is perfect, because why would you want to waste 4 or 5 months or 6 months or a year extra when you could just step into a corporate and start your career? Yeah.
Sure. Great. All right. So, any final thoughts, any suggestions that you want to share with aspirants who are going through their interviews right now, who are planning to apply by the 31st of Jan, which is the deadline for Altera? So, any final thoughts that you would want to share? Payal, we'll start with you.
I think if you're really curious about getting into such roles like we spoke, category management and everything, marketing based roles and e-commerce, this is the right place. It's going to be rigorous 1 year, like no sleep. There are going to be sleepless nights, but just hang on to it. You're gonna land in a right space. Yeah.
All right. Pulkit?
One suggestions for the fellow students that will be appearing for the interviews. One thing that really helped me was depth in one thing. Because when I was preparing for my interviews, I thought कि ये भी बोल दूंगा, marketing भी बोल दूंगा, sales भी बोल दूंगा, Excel भी बोल दूंगा, analytics भी बोल दूंगा. So I realized it very late. In fact, the placement season, I realized that this will not work. I'll have to showcase depth in just one area. So I wish if I'd have gotten the advice in the initial, then it would have been much better. So that's one key takeaway that I experienced after giving so many interviews. Like depth in one thing is surely better than just a hands-on experience on 10 things. So
Hmm.
that was one thing that stood out. Secondly, upon the B schools, just trust your faith. Right now, I think the CAT scores are out. In majority of the exams, all of the scores are out. Be prepared for the GIPI and all of the interviews and everything. Just make sure that you are confident and have clarity, as mentioned by Tulsa and Payal. These are the two important things, and you will be judged upon these two things only. Nothing more, but yeah, these two are the pillars of giving a great interview. Considering about the new age B schools that we currently have, we have Altera, we have a lot of new age B schools that are coming into the market. For example, Masters Union, we have Mesa, we have Scalar School. All of the other schools are doing great. So you can consider a new age B school over a traditional B school.
Hmm.
Because in our time, 2024, when we had to take that call, there was a lot of ambiguity. Ki what will be the future ahead? What the future lies with these colleges? But now, as we speak, they have set a foot up in the ground. They have established their base, and they're ready to kill the market.
Sure. Great. All right. What about you, Tulsa? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thought to all the students who are listening to this or are watching this will be that don't be anxious, don't get panic attacks. Just relax. This is the more confident you are being yourself, the more it will reflect. This can be very stressful times, so try to relax. Apart from that, one thing that I think I should talk about is that getting into B school, don't think about getting the right placement, joining the right company. Get into a B school thinking that I want to improve myself, I want to learn, I want to grow as a person. Because when you have that sort of mentality, you absorb the knowledge that you are getting. You're not continuously thinking about the placements or how I'm going to improve my CV. um, which comes eventually. So once you've worked on yourself, all of these things will just flow naturally. So yeah, these are the two things that I would want to say. Don't be anxious and go into it thinking that you are working on yourself and you want to grow. Yeah.
Sure. Great. All right. So I think we will close the session here. Thank you, Payal, Pulkit, Tulja, for being patient and answering the questions. I loved hearing your stories. I could also relive my B school experience, which was what, 14, 15 years ago, right? So it was fun listening to your stories and your experience at Altera. I'm sure that the people who are watching would have also gained a lot of insights, and maybe they would have got a deeper understanding of what Altera stands for, right? So all of you who are watching, you can let me know in the comment section if there are any further questions, any queries that you have. I'll try to get in touch with all of you. Maybe if you are watching the comments, you can also comment directly. It's not a problem at all. But we will try to maybe answer those questions to the best of our ability as well. I know the minds behind Altera, and that there is no doubt that be it Karan, be it Alek, whom I've interacted with, Arshdeep, who I've interacted with, all of them are like pretty sorted individuals, right? So do consider the institute if you want me to evaluate your profile, let you know what kind of percentiles, what kind of scores should you be looking at, which will give you a better shot at getting through Altera Institute. Let me know, and I will help you with that as well. Thank you again, everyone, for turning up. And yeah, I think we'll close it now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Sure.
sir.
Thank you.